youth, education, community. That's the top three things that Benefit for the Basin stands for, and hopes to give money back to. And we just had an event. I can't wait to tell you the number from this latest event because we set a record.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin. Today, I am here with Jay Davis. You're here representing Benefit for the Basin.
Yeah.
But some people may recognize your voice
Well, I hope
from
so.
the radio. It's a very distinct voice.
Oh, thanks.
So, yeah, but we're here to talk about Benefit for the Basin. And I guess my first question is what is Benefit for the Basin?
Benefit for the Basin was started in, it's been 12 years now. Joe Reister and Archie Lindman got together and said, let's have an event where a dad and a mom can take their kids out and not have to spend a dime, and they can play all day. The kids will have a blast, and we'll just have a cool event. Maybe we'll throw a car show with it. So they did that. And that first year, they did manage to raise, I believe Joe told me, $15,000. Now, man, this is great. Let's do this again. So it turned into an annual event. It moved to the fairgrounds, and it became more of a fundraiser for the fairgrounds to make improvements at the fairgrounds and raise money to give to kids for stuff that they couldn't afford to do. So it turned into that. And that year they raised $35,000 and gave away another car. Then, well, this is great. So they started doing this process where they would build a car. They got Keith Stoss involved by the second year. That was my first year here. And Keith would build the car for them, do all the body work at Candy Auto Body, and put the car together and give it away. We would sell raffle tickets all over the basin and everywhere we could find. We used to sell them in Tule Lake and, as far north as Gilchrist.
Mhm.
Try to remember the name of all these towns in the Klamath Basin. I'm 13 years here and I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, so we did all that. And then at some point, Joe said, you know what, let's stop building cars, because it was stressing a lot of people out to try to make our whole summer was wrapped around displaying these cars at all these different events. So we said, let's see if we can do this without, building a car. So they did. And here we are $2 million later, putting money back into the community. And I know you're going to ask me, where does that money go? And I'll just tell you, first of all, we have scholarships for every school in the Klamath Basin. That includes all the way up to Gilchrist and all the way down to Tule Lake and to Butte Valley. So all those schools are included. 2 scholarships every year, the homeschool kids, everybody. And that has gone from, the initial was $250 to $500, and now it's $750 per scholarship. You think 2 of those for every school. And then, all kinds of different organizations. I wish I could remember them all, but Citizens for Safe Schools, Friends of the Children, all of these organizations have come to us and said, hey, we need some help. But also little organizations, groups, Little League, cheerleader groups have come to us, and we were like, yeah, let's help these guys out.
Okay. And so they come to you, but is it set in stone? Is there a process for other organizations who may not know what you do to come to you? How does that work?
Absolutely. On our website, there's a donation request, and they can fill that out with whatever they need. Generally, we focus on children, education, community, things in the basin. And in some cases, there have been school kids who needed to go on a trip to Europe. So we sent kids to what they call the City of Lights in Paris to do some educational stuff. And we don't know what exactly that was, but it was a school trip, so it was important. And there were some kids that couldn't quite afford it. But in a lot of cases, what we would do is say, well, why don't you try to raise half of that and we'll match it. So that's what we would do. The encouragement was to work, and you'll get rewarded by us, as well as that reward you'll feel yourself from doing that work.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And you mentioned you also fund some of the little projects for the fairgrounds as well. What kinds
improvement
of things?
Projects. And actually, the most recent thing wasn't officially a Benefit for the Basin project. It actually started as a Basin Media Active project, and we asked Joe and Keith to get involved. It was the Fly the Flag fundraiser. And we were initially going to put it back where it was before on South 6th Street at a shopping center. And we got together with them, and they said, let's not. Let's put it at the fairgrounds. That's where it belongs. And all of a sudden, people are donating 100-foot flagpoles and 37 yards of concrete and all these other great things to make that happen. Over $130,000 in donations that Joe and Keith were able to pull in outside of Benefit for the Basin. But because those guys have been doing this for so long, they were able to pull that in. That's
great.
just the latest thing that Benefit did.
Yeah. So Benefit for the Basin, I'm amazed. That's part of the reason I invited you on, at the growth of the organization and the amount of money that it's giving out to people. But I want to talk a little bit about the process of starting it. So it was just two guys with an idea.
Yeah, Joe and Keith. Joe really had the main idea, and he talked to Archie, and they were both at the tractor company back. I can't remember the name of it anymore. It's been so long.
Klamath Basin Equipment. I
Yeah,
think.
KBE, right. Obviously, Archie owned KBE, and Joe was his big service manager, and he said, "Yeah, I just want to do this." He said, "We used to do something. It was with a car dealership," and he said, "I want to do something for the kids, though." So they did this event, and Archie was all behind it. He said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Mm-hmm.
And I think they actually did it at the Ford dealership the first year.
Okay.
Back, I don't remember what it was called, but before it was the big name, it was something else.
I don't remember
Harvest,
either.
something or other?
That probably. The interesting thing is my time at the chamber isn't much longer than your time in the basin. So sorry
I
that
remember
I don't
when
know
you
that.
started at the chamber, actually, or when you became the president of the chamber.
Director, yeah.
Director, I remember that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, Archie said, "Yeah, let's do it," and they got together and did that. And then the next year, it was like, "Well, let's make it bigger. We want to do this forever, so let's see if we can make it bigger." So they called up Keith Stotts, and that's when they started building the cars and all of that stuff. But yeah, it was just two guys talking, and Archie was all behind it. And with somebody like Archie, it's going to get big.
Yes. That's for sure. And his name's on the building, isn't it?
Yeah,
Lindman Hall is named after him now
yeah.
out at the fairgrounds.
And one of our when Archie passed away, one of the big awards is the Archie Lindman Memorial. So we have that award at our car show.
Okay.
And there's also now a Mona Novotny Award for someone who was a very influential or very big part of our organization for a long time, before I was there. And there's a few others that, just as people who have been involved in the organization, unfortunately have passed, we want to make sure that their names stay in the organization, and that's how it's done.
Building a legacy.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And speaking of building a legacy, one of the committee members on our situation now, I call it the board of directors, but it's really a bunch of committee members. There's only 3 people on the board. The rest of us are all just committee volunteers, and it's all volunteer anyway. But she started at 7 years old, and we met her. She started selling raffle tickets for the cars we used to build, and she was the top salesperson every single time. And her name's Kate, and Kate will at one point be the president of Benefit for the Basin. I'm absolutely positive of it. She's just a firecracker, and she just graduated.
I love that.
Yeah, so she's been with us since she was, for
7
11
years old.
years.
I think that's so important to get kids involved at a young age, whether it's through sports and things like that, but fundraising efforts, just getting our youth involved. So I love to hear that.
And that's really what we're focused on, is youth in the community. So, I mean, that is Benefit for the Basin. Their youth, education, community. That's the top 3 things that Benefit for the Basin stands for and hopes to give money back to. And we just had an event. I can't wait to tell you the number from this latest event, because we set a record.
Oh, well, tell us now.
We had probably 25,000 people pass through our doors. We had the big dinner, the live and silent auction, and we raised $242,000 this year.
Dang. So 12 years ago, did you say 15,000?
Yep.
All the way up to that. That's incredible. Yeah. What do you think leads to that success?
I think it's because people see us now in the community doing the things that Benefit for the Basin does. They see, these scholarships that are given away every year. Heck, my kid got sent to wherever it was because, they couldn't afford it. But guess what? Benefit for the Basin gave them the money. My daughter's a cheerleader. Benefit for the Basin provided equipment for the cheerleaders. My son's a baseball player. They bought uniforms. Whatever it was, they've started to realize that Benefit just gives this money right back. It never stays with Benefit. Every dime goes back into the community.
So proven results. You think
Absolutely.
That's the result of it. How many, you mentioned there's only 3 people on the board, but how many people are on the committees?
That committee right now is probably 15 people.
How do you build that buy-in in an organization to that level?
I think once people see the level of dedication from the folks that are there now, they can't help but be part of it. It's a special thing. And probably the biggest thing, and all of us say the same thing, and it's absolutely true, is when we give out the scholarships and you hand that check to those kids, and it's not a huge amount of money, but there's no strings attached to it. It's just, here, this is something that you can use for whatever you need. If it's tools, if it's books, whatever it might be, you might need to put a down payment on a cheap car. Here you go, whatever it is. Because some of these kids are going straight to work. They're not going to college. We hope they go to trade school or college, but if they're going straight to work, great. Here's a little boost. And that's what that scholarship does.
And are those competitive? How do kids apply for those?
They write an essay, how I contribute to my community. And community can be anything. It can be their church, their neighborhood. It's a county-wide thing. Whatever they do, how do they contribute to their community? Because that's the number 3 thing in our tenet, youth education community. So they have to be that. And then they just fill out an application. So
that's fantastic.
And every school is represented. So we love that. Even the homeschool kids, everybody.
So you give 2 to every school. Did I hear that?
Yep.
Okay. That's an incredible reach and an incredible difference that you're making.
And we hope so. We hope that, and we know there are some kids that have written us back and said, this has been a fantastic thing for me to be involved with Benefit for the Basin. And after they've graduated, a lot of kids have come back and volunteered. There's a lot of kids now that volunteer while they're in, like our Kate, elementary school and junior high school, and high school kids that are, volunteering every single year at the event. And that's the best part of it, is having those kids there. And they're working their butts off.
You said something really interesting. Obviously, I deal with a lot of nonprofits, and the chamber itself is a nonprofit. But in the very beginning, when you were talking about the start of Benefit of the Basin, you talked about how they just wanted an event that was fun for kids and families, right? It's obviously a fundraiser. But how do you make it not feel like a fundraiser?
Just because of what you're doing when you're there all day. There's a car show, there's shopping, we've got vendors there that are there all day. You really don't see the fundraising until later that night when the auction starts and the silent auction is going. But even then, it's so much fun. We've got the best auctioneer in town. Can I say Ryan Gallagher's name? Is that okay?
Sure.
He's the best auctioneer that I've ever dealt with. He's fantastic, and it's so much fun with him there. So you don't even feel like that's a fundraiser. But during the day, there's a kid zone where the kids are just bouncing around on water slides. There's a car they can smash with a sledgehammer. All of these things that the kids just love doing. That doesn't sound like a fundraiser to me. It just sounds like a day at the fair.
That's pretty brilliant, actually.
It's just a fun thing. And the whole goal was, you can take your kids out. You don't have to spend a dime. You don't have to spend a dime. Just take your kids and let them have a blast.
That's great.
And the drag races too. That's it. Again.
Oh, I didn't even know there was drag races.
There's crazy drag races that are only 120 feet long, but people love it. And we love it. It's great. And that's actually put together by some people that just fell in love with the organization at Medford.
Oh, that's
the guys that run Medford Drag Strip.
That's crazy. I love that. Talking about community, one of the things on this podcast is we are just talking about leadership and the things that make our community great. What do you think makes a great community?
Oh boy, just involvement. Being involved with anything when the need comes. And I got to tell you, since I moved here, I lived in Las Vegas. I lived in Northern California. I've lived in Reno. I lived in Montana. I've lived in a lot of different places because radio, you kind of become a gypsy a little bit. And the thing that I've noticed about the Klamath Basin is the level of involvement and readiness to help. And that's really what community is all about to me. It's being ready to help. The place I work, the first thing that Rob Sims said to me was, get involved with something. I said, well, yeah, I was going to do that anyways. No, find an organization, find something that you love doing, and get involved with that and stay, out there in the community. And that's what I've done.
That's great.
And Benefit has helped.
That's perfect. Can you tell me a moment or a story about when Klamath felt like home, like the moment it became your home?
I think probably, and this is a sad story, but it really did get to the core of why I love this place. When my stepson lost his life, and the people around me just came together and made sure that we didn't want for anything when it came to, you have to do things, unfortunately, when someone passes away, and we didn't lift a finger. And they made sure that we didn't have to lift a finger. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, yeah, this is my home. I'm not going anywhere.
No. Well, thanks for sharing that. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry.
It's been 5 years, and you think about it all the time. But at the same time, I think about that, what happened for us, and how, the people really showed their love for us as a family, and not just me because of where I work, but all of the people, especially the benefit people who really showed up for us.
They've become family,
Yeah.
it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
If a picture says 1,000 words, imagine the story. 24 frames a second can tell about your business. 40 Deuce Films.
Thinking about Benefit for the Basin and the future, where do you see Benefit for the Basin growing?
Well, I see it continuing to be a force to be reckoned with in the community. And I see the young people like Kate and several others that are on the basin. As a matter of fact, Christy Rodriguez that recently bought Express Employment, she is now a committee member, and I see her as a leader in this organization. The people that are running it now, that are on top, the president, the vice president, the treasurer, which are Joe Keith and Christine Golden, they're going to at some point want to step aside. And I think the infrastructure is in place that other people like Kate and Christy and these younger folks can step right in. And that's the future of it, is them running it and probably making it even more interesting than it is already.
Mm-hmm. What do you, I think sometimes I hear from people that it's really hard to get volunteers and people bought in. And we've talked about the results, and that obviously is attractive. But what are some of the other things organizations need to do to keep or find volunteers?
First of all, and this was a struggle for me when we first came in, was convincing the people that are, founding the organizations that you can take credit when you do things in the community. It's okay. And when people see that you're doing, then you got to make sure people see what you're doing in the community. There are other organizations, and I'm not going to name names, but who just collect money and you never see where that goes. You've got to make sure that it's very clear where every dime is going. Everything that Benefit has done has been transparent, wide open books. Joe always says, listen, you want to come look at the books, please come see Christine and she'll show you everything we've ever done. And that's, you have to be transparent. And then, outreach is fantastic. We always, when we're involved, we talk to people all the time and we say, hey, if you're interested, come to a meeting. And that's really the first step. Come to a meeting, hold meetings and make sure people know you're holding meetings, and then show up and you'll find people will get involved.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Do you, I'm thinking of what the next question I want to ask is. This is when it really helps to have him over here, because I have a moment to think about what the
you can edit all you want.
next thing I want to say, right? What is what's something you would want people to know about Benefit for the Basin that most people don't realize?
Well, I think I've already said it, that every single penny that comes into Benefit for the Basin goes right back to kids and the community. If it's not going to the fairgrounds, it's going to a group of cheerleaders, of some baseball, basketball players, kids that need a little help with really anything. It really is. It's one of those that just submit a request. There's organizations that do that all the time. BMX Track, we helped them out when they were first getting started and struggling, and just things like that. We are putting everything that we get back in. We don't control any of that money. Does that make sense? We don't own it. It's not ours. We're trustees, and people trust us to put that money right back out in there. All we do is distribute it. So, kind of like the middleman.
Yeah. I like the way you said that you're the trustees of that money. That's a really cool way to look at it. How do you build trust?
By continuing to be transparent, I think, to always be transparent. And that's something that we've always said, again, it's not our money. The community trusts us. That's why I said trustees. They trust us to put that money where it belongs, where it needs to go, where there's a desire to help a kid, a family sometimes. It just depends on what's needed. But it's very transparent. And that's really the thing that builds the trust, is that transparency.
You've talked in some general terms about the kinds of things you've done, Benefit for the Basin has done. But is there a particularly heartwarming story about a difference you've made?
Well, there are so many. there's not one, Heather, I'm sorry, there's not one. There's so many cases where, kids have reached back out to us and said, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And it's, a simple thing like, a uniform or a glove or, things that they just couldn't get.
Mm-hmm.
And the organization was able to say, here, you need this for what you want to do here. And so, yeah.
There's not one that
Not
in
really.
particular that
I got to
stands out.
tell you,
That's okay.
there's something, and this goes back to when we were giving away cars, and it's a guy who won, I think the 4th vehicle that was given away by Benefit for the Basin. It's a beautiful 66, I believe, Chevelle, beautiful black and red flames and all, and just a really good looking car. And the guy who won that car shows up every single year and has put so much love into it. And I know this isn't, a charity thing. This is something that he won, but still he has put so much love into that car. And every year his pride and like we did that. We helped this guy to have $5. He bought one ticket
Mm-hmm.
to win that car. So that's pretty heartwarming to me to see that love that guy still puts into that car. It looks as good as it did the day he won it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of that, do you ever get pushback because you aren't doing the car raffles anymore?
We used to. People still ask, hey, you going to give away a car this year?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the amount of work, but the organization is able to keep more money by not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that, obviously that costs money. There are things that have to be purchased to make that happen. So it's getting more money back into the community by not having that car giveaway.
Mm-hmm. I think that's wise. I think sometimes one of the struggles an organization can have is if something's working well, continuing to evolve so that it continues to meet the needs of the community. So how do you guys stay innovative with your ideas?
Well, one of the things we did was, first of all, we used to have a 2-day event. Like we would have a dinner on Friday night, the auction, the whole thing. And then the event on Saturday would be the car show and the fun time for the kids. And at some point we said, you know what, why don't we just do this all in one day? We'll have a car show. We'll have the fun zone for the kids. We'll make it bigger than it's ever been. The vendors, the food trucks, everything is there. But then we'll have the dinner that night. And first we were, that's crazy. That's insane to do that much stuff in one day. But the first year we did it, it was a lot of work. But at the end of the day, the level of satisfaction was way up, way high compared to where it had been before. It was always good. I don't want to say like it was bad before.
Yeah.
It was always good, but it was so much better. And we all felt like, wow, we accomplished a 2-day deal in one day and we earned more money for the organization. So that's one of the ways. But you always got to look at how you can, make yourself more efficient as an organization, because that means you're going to have more resources to put back.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Can I ask JD a couple of things about himself?
Yeah.
So how long have you been in radio?
Since 1986. So this is going to be 39 years this year. It's a long time.
Yeah. What have been some of the biggest changes you've seen in radio?
In radio, wow. Well, we don't use records anymore. We don't use CDs anymore. Everything is digital, which, is good and bad in some ways. You have to work a little harder to find creative outlets, because it used to be pretty easy. You were always on, you're always doing something. So your creative juices were always flowing, where there's not as much time dedicated to doing anymore. So now I know it seems like it would open up your creative, but it doesn't, because that level of doing stuff all the time is something that makes your brain work, because you're always thinking about, what do I have to do next? And that makes your brain keep working. So you have to find stuff to do next so that your brain keeps working.
So what do you do to stay creative, keep your creative stuff going?
Well, luckily I'm the production director, so I'm always thinking of, what I can do better for the clients that we make commercials for. So as the production director, that's my thing. So trying to make things better, more think more theater of the mind. That's a term we like to use in radio, where when you listen to something, you should be able to see something that, triggers you to want to talk to the people we're talking about.
Sure.
So that's kind of the way I keep myself active.
Yeah. Why do you think radio is important to a community like ours?
Well, in every community, I think radio is important. And the biggest thing is it is the number one way people get information in the event of any kind of emergency. It's the number one thing you turn to. And if you can't turn to that, where are you going to turn? The internet's not going to help you. You know, if there's an emergency situation in your community, you'll find out what happened yesterday, but you won't find out what's going on right now.
True. Very valid
But
point.
I think it's a vital piece of any community, big or small.
And what radio station are you on?
Well,
Are you on all of them because you're the production director, or?
I'm on 3 of them.
Okay.
I'm on the Fox 99.5 in the mornings. I'm on the Rock in the middle of the day, and then at the end of the day, I'm on the big country station KLAD.
All right. What's your favorite genre of music? Do you have a favorite?
No, I can't.
You can't?
I can't pick one. I got to be honest. I never worked in country music before I came to Klamath Falls. It was kind of a surprise to get the offer, to be honest with you. But I enjoy it. I enjoy doing the job. I enjoy listening to the music, and I enjoy talking to the folks that call the radio station every day. At the same time, I love talking to the folks that listen to the morning on the Fox, and the people that listen to the classic rock station in the middle of the day. And as far as the music goes, I grew up on the music that I'm playing in the morning and in the middle of the day, but I'm really enjoying the music that I play in the afternoon.
When you're home and just hanging out by yourself, do you listen to the radio?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I switch around between our stations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like to go to other communities and listen to their radios? Do you critique it? Are you like,
Absolutely.
I could do better?
Not I can do better, but I wish they would do better.
Okay.
Because especially big cities, when you go and it sounds like it's just it's the same thing on every station, and it needs to have variety. Or that's a lot of people say radio's dying. Well, in big cities, it kind of is, because there's so much homogenous stuff going on. There's not a whole lot of creativity.
Mm-hmm. So tell me something that makes ours more creative. Is it the music that you're playing? Is that what you're talking about?
No, everybody plays the music.
Mhm.
All the radio stations play the music. It's the fact that we focus on what's happening in our community. And I'll be honest, we're creative people, and we're funny, and that's important.
Yes.
And we talk about our lives,
Mhm.
and people love to know what's going on with the people they spend their morning with or their afternoon with. They want to know what your life is, what's going on in your life.
Mhm. What's
So-
something you wish people knew about radio?
Well, it used to be harder to do, but that we care about the community we're in. That's why we're here. That's why we keep doing it. I think a lot of people think, well, you're just there for the job. But I got to be honest with you, the job itself is not one of those things that's going to make you rich. We do it because we love it, and because we know that we can help people with what we're doing, whether it's a joke that makes somebody laugh that was crying, or if you're helping somebody who's going through a rough time in an emergency situation by giving them, information, whatever it is.
Yeah. I love that. Can you, you've been involved in a really long
Mhm.
time. Is there like a really funny story from your radio days you could share?
I don't know if I can share it or not.
Oh.
There's a lot. There's a lot of stories that I probably shouldn't share. A sick call from an old. I'm not going to say his name, but he's an old mentor of mine. He's passed away years ago, but he had a situation with a zipper and called in. And we put him on the air talking about he had to go to the emergency room in a situation with a zipper, and we put him on the air with it. And that's probably the funniest thing that I've ever heard on the radio.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm imagining it. That's kind of funny.
There you go. There's your theater of the mind.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your time today, and thanks for coming and
Absolutely.
talking to us about it. 3 fun questions at the end.
Okay.
If I gave you $250,000 and you had to make a difference today in our community, what would you do with it?
I think I would probably put together a scholarship fund for some kids, and I don't know if I would say, well, I want you to be involved in broadcasting, because, who knows what the future of this business is. I hope that it's a long future for this business, because it's an important resource. But I think I'd want to do that because I love seeing, A, the response we get from kids when they get a scholarship, and B, wondering what they're going to do with it. Now that I'm a little older, I won't say how old, but now that I'm a little older, I always wonder, what are these kids going to do now that they've got, their lives ahead of them? They've graduated high school, or they're getting ready to go to college, or whatever they're going to do. What are they going to do?
Mhm.
I'm interested. I want to know.
Yeah, I love that. Who's do you have a role model?
Yeah. My role model would probably be, this will go back to my grandfather, because he stepped up all the time when he didn't have to, for kids that were just around the neighborhood, kids that didn't have a dad or whatever. He would step up and he would help them with whatever they needed help with. If they needed a bike fixed, if they, had a basketball that was flat, and just little stupid stuff, but it made a big difference to these kids. And I used to see that every day. So yeah, I'd like to be like him.
That's great. If somebody was coming into the community that had never been here and they asked you to put together the best day in Klamath, what would you take them to do?
Best day in Klamath. Holy moly. I mean, if I don't say go to Benefit for the Basin, that's
Just going to plan everyone on that day.
You got to take them to that day. Go to the refuge when the Eagles are in town. That's just such a cool thing to see all those eagles. I had never seen, I had seen a bald eagle, but a group of them, just right there in the trees right next to you. Fantastic. Yeah, I would take them out to the refuge when the eagles are there. It's just a cool thing to see.
That is a cool thing to see.
And I take them to Crater Lake because that's just an amazing place.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time today,
Absolutely.
Katie. And thank you to our sponsor, 40 Deuce Films.
Thank you, 40 Deuce.